When it comes to web traffic, Google Discover is basically a kingmaker. But this past February in 2026, the king went and changed all the rules. So we're going to break down exactly what this massive core update means for you, and more importantly, why your analytics might be going completely haywire.
So let me ask you this. Have you looked at your analytics lately and just felt like you're on a roller coaster you definitely did not sign up for? Huge spikes one day, terrifying drops the next, and absolutely no rhyme or reason to any of it? Yeah, if that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. When this update hit, the entire digital publishing world felt the shockwave. And this one comment from a Reddit user, well, it pretty much sums up how everyone was feeling. Just a mix of aha and oh boy. Okay, let's get right into it. That complete chaos you're seeing in your traffic reports, it's real. You are not imagining it. This isn't just the normal ups and downs of the internet. Nope. This is a direct result of Google making a huge change to its system. And just to be super clear, this isn't some small patch or a minor tweak to the algorithm. Google has fundamentally changed how it decides what to show people in their Discover feeds. So that playbook we've all been using? Yeah, it's time to get a new one. So, what is the source of all this turbulence? Well, it all goes back to one single event: Google's official announcement of the February 2026 Discover Core update. Let's unpack what they actually said happened. Okay, so the update officially went live on February 5th. But look at the details here. It started with English language users in the US first. That means if you're anywhere else, this is your early warning for what's headed your way. And this is crucial. It's not like flipping a switch. It's a slow rollout that could take up to 2 weeks. So the full impact might not even be clear for a little while. So what even is this update, really? Well, Google's official line calls it a broad refresh that's designed to make the Discover feed more useful and worthwhile. Now, that sounds great and all, but for anyone who actually creates content, it's the how they're doing that really matters. The best way to really wrap our heads around this thing is to break this massive update down into 3 main parts. You can think of them as the 3 new rules of the Google Discover game. If you understand these, you'll know exactly how to play. And here they are. First, there's a powerful new locality filter. Second, Google is launching a direct assault on clickbait. And third, there's a whole new emphasis on something called topical authority. Let's dig into each one of these. All right, first up is the locality filter, and let me tell you, this one is a real game changer, especially if you have an international audience. So here's the bottom line. Google now wants to show users content from publishers based in their own country. If you're in the US, you're going to see more US-based sites. The whole idea is to make the feed feel more local. But the big consequence? If you're, say, a publisher in the UK with a big American following, you've probably seen a major drop in traffic because Google can now tell where you're publishing from. Okay, on to rule number 2, which is all about cleaning up our feeds. You could say Google is officially declaring war on clickbait. And they are taking this very seriously. The new algorithm is specifically designed to spot and just filter out all that sensationalism. It's really going after those curiosity gap headlines. You know the ones, they promise some shocking secret, but then the article delivers? Well, nothing. If your headline overpromises, you can expect it to get buried, and fast. And that brings us to our third, and honestly probably the most significant new rule of all, the rise of topical authority. This completely changes how Google thinks about expertise. This quote right here, it explains the idea perfectly. It's not about how big your entire website is anymore. It's about how deep your expertise goes on one specific topic. So a small niche blog that only talks about gardening can now actually beat a giant news site on a gardening story, because Google sees them as the true expert in that field. So how is Google figuring this out? Well, it's looking for a proven track record. It's rewarding sites that consistently publish high-quality content about one subject over a long period of time. Writing one-off articles to chase a trend just won't cut it anymore. Consistency is now the absolute key to building the kind of authority that Google wants to reward. All right, so those are the 3 big new rules. Now let's actually see what that looks like in the real world with a direct before and after look at the new Discover landscape. This table really lays out the new reality, doesn't it? The biggest changes to look at? Headlines need to be informative, not just hypey. Your physical location actually matters now. But the most critical shift is probably right at the bottom. Things that used to be kind of optional, like big images and deep content, are now absolutely essential. The era of quick, snackable stuff is fading, and it's being replaced by a demand for deep, original work from specialized sources. Okay, we've talked enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. How do we translate all this into a real action plan that can help you adapt and even thrive in this new world?
Here's your 5-step plan. First, and this is important, just breathe. The update is still rolling out, so things are going to be a little shaky. Second, go audit your headlines. Third, start making high-quality visuals a top priority. Fourth, double down on your niche. And finally, focus on building trust signals. Let's zoom in on a couple of these.
Look, if you make only one technical change after this, let it be this one. Your images are no longer just helpful. They're critical. They need to be big, at least 1,200 pixels wide. You also have to add a tiny piece of code to your site that tells Google it's okay to show a large preview of your image. This is how you get that awesome full-width picture and discover that people are so much more likely to click.
And here's what that headline audit looks like in practice. The old way was all about creating a mystery, right? You won't believe. The new way is about providing the value right up front. Don't hide the information. Summarize it clearly in the title. Your goal now is to be compelling, yes, but also completely honest. And finally, to really get an edge with this new algorithm, you need to be focusing on these specific trust signals. Write in the first person, using I and we. Use your own photos, not stock images. Add your city or country to your author bio. Mention local landmarks in your articles. These are the little details that prove your authority and your locality to Google, and they will give you a serious advantage. And so, we're left with the one fundamental question that this update is asking every single one of us. Are we building real, genuine authority in our niche, or are we just chasing trends? In the new world of Google Discover, that's really the only question that matters.